Good morning and happy Earth Day. This is Jordan Gray coming to you from sunny Charleston, South Carolina, headquarters of the Turtle Survival Alliance. And I am so excited to be with you on Earth Day. It is an incredible annual day in which we celebrate this beautiful blue planet of ours. And this year is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So no better year to get out there and do something for our planet. I just want to look over and see everyone joining in here. Thank you very much. Peter Paul Van Dyke, great to see you. Boris, always great to see you. The Kilonian Hut, another one of our regular viewers, love to see you. We have Akrawat coming in. So thank you very much for being here. So today we are celebrating Earth Day. And to do that, I'm going to go through the Turtle Survival Alliance's 10 ways that you can help turtles on Earth Day. But this doesn't always just apply to Earth Day. Every day is Earth Day. So no matter what day it is, if it's July 3rd or October 24th, you can help turtles in some way. First, though, I do want to introduce you to a beautiful turtle that I have brought on today. Let me just jump over here and grab this little beauty. So this is a spotted turtle. If you can see his absolutely gorgeous spots there on his shell, this is an adult male, just stunning turtle. And this species is native to the eastern seaboard and Great Lakes region of the United States and Canada. It is a turtle that has unfortunately become very vulnerable to extinction risk over the past several decades. That means that in some states it is a species of special concern or threatened, and in others it is imperiled or endangered. One of my favorite species, I grew up in the woods of upstate New York and Virginia finding this turtle. And now, decades later, I continue to love finding this species in the wetlands in which they reside. One of the reasons that this turtle has declined is due to habitat loss and fragmentation. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in this webinar. Another big reason is collection for the pet trade. As you can see, this is, of course, an incredibly gorgeous turtle. And I understand why people would want to have this as a pet. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too. But I just want to give a quick shout out to my friends at the Alliancem Society, a nonprofit organization here in the southeastern United States. They lent me this turtle for the webinar today. And right now, my friend Ben is out there in the swamps of the Georgia coastal plain performing research on this species. So thanks again to the Alliancem Society for lending this little spotted turtle here. And I'm going to put him away and we'll get to our webinar. All right. So first thing I want to start with for Earth Day is that we are still doing a coloring page contest, and no greater way to celebrate the diversity of turtles on this earth by coloring one. Or should I say than by coloring one. Either way, go to our website, turtlesurvival.org, and you will go to our scrolling news, and you can click on the TSA Coloring Pages Art Contest. And that goes through this Friday night, 11:59 Eastern Daylight Time here in the United States. So click on the link, select one of the 6 art pages that both Matt Patterson of Stone Ridge Art Studios and I have designed. And please paint, color with crayons, markers, or colored pencils. You could even do graphic design on your computer, however you want to complete that turtle. Then please take a photo of it, scan it in, and send it to Emily Kiefner. And all of that is in the instructions. So we really can't wait to see your artwork completed and celebrate both Earth Day and just every day. All right. So that being said, let's really quickly recap our turtle stats. And right now, we have 349 living species of turtle and tortoise on Earth. That number actually, should I say, has now changed to 350. Whoops, I forgot to change that because a paper was published last week which split the turtle, the mata mata, native to South America, into two distinct species. So in fact, we now have 350 living species of turtle, tortoise, sea turtle, and terrapin. And so that would bring us to 469 living taxa. So that means species and subspecies. Either way, what I'm trying to say is that we have a world, an Earth, a globe full of different types of turtles and tortoises. Now, of those, only 7 of them are marine or sea turtles, which means that 343, again, I'm adjusting one because of that new addition of a species of mata mata, are non-marine or terrestrial, aquatic and semi-aquatic turtles, tortoises, and terrapins. So we just have a world full of turtles, and they need your help on Earth Day and every day. And turtles live across the globe, so no matter where you live, there is probably a chance for you to help turtles. And we're going to again get to some of those ways in this webinar. But if you look at this map produced by the IUCN Tortoise and Freshwater Turtle Specialist Group, TSG, it shows where turtles live across the globe, and the more abundant the red coloration gets, the deeper it gets, shows where there is more diversity of turtle and tortoise subspecies. So that's a really cool map to see. If you haven't seen this publication, check it out. It is the 2018 publication of the checklist of turtles and tortoises done by, again, the TFTSG, Tortoise and Freshwater Turtle Specialist Group. And it's a really great resource for you all to learn about all the different species and subspecies across the world. All right. Oh, Lucas is coming in from Brazil. Lucas, thank you very much. AC is tuning in from Columbia, South Carolina. So again, it's great to see everybody here. All right, so number 1 on our list of 10 ways that you can help turtles. This is a very common question asked. It's one that sometimes there's a little bit of misinformation on, and so we'll try to clear that up. But either way, it's help a turtle across the road. It's such a simple act, but it's an act that will resound for a lifetime for this turtle and the population in which it lives in. Now, of course, when I'm talking about moving a turtle across the road, we have to think about your own safety as well as the turtles. So if it is a very heavily trafficked area, please be very, very careful. Always put your life and the life of other motorists before the turtle's life. And I know you all are probably just itching to get out there and move that turtle across the road, but please take a few seconds, check the traffic, make sure the passengers, if you have any in your car, are safe and strapped in before attempting to move this turtle across the road. So the most general advice that we can give is to move a turtle in the direction it was heading. Why? Well, turtles are on the move for a reason, okay? Turtles are rather stubborn animals. They are driven by instinct, and they are heading in the direction that they want to go. And it might be a female turtle crossing the road to find a appropriate nesting site. It may be a turtle that is highly nomadic and looking for another type of habitat, whether that be a swamp, a pond, or other water body. Or maybe it is a young turtle that is dispersing into its range more from that small general range where it began its life. Either way, the best information is to just move the turtle in the direction it was heading. Now, I get calls all the time about, well, what do I do if it's a snapping turtle? And yeah, snapping turtles might be a different scenario because I really don't recommend trying to pick them up or move them if you don't know the appropriate and safe way to do so. But there are probably people you can contact who could help you out. So if you have a question about how you should move a turtle across the road safely, or maybe you're in a predicament or scenario where you're not exactly sure what to do, you can always contact me directly, jgray@turtlesurvival.org. That's through email, or you can contact me through Facebook or Instagram, and I can do my best to give you the appropriate measures in the circumstance you're in. And trust me, I do this all the time. Frequently, people will email, call, or text me wondering what they should do in that particular instance. And I will jump onto Google Earth or some other imagery device and look at the habitat around them and try to give them the best possible answer. Because sometimes there are scenarios where moving a turtle in the direction it's heading might not be appropriate. For instance, what if there is a just a mini mall on the other side, or maybe there's a big concrete structure in which once the turtle gets there, it's not going to be able to pass. Well, in those instances, we have to use our best judgment. And that's where I really recommend either contacting me or contacting some other type of wildlife expert to help make that judgment for you. Either way, we love that you help turtles cross the road. It makes a huge difference in that turtle's life, and it can make a huge difference for the longevity of that population. All right, number 2. Support or start a local turtle conservation project near you. As you saw, turtles live all over the world, and with so many different species and subspecies of turtle and tortoise, there's probably a lot that can be done. When we think of conservation, we have to think of it as a framework or a puzzle, and everybody is adding their own little piece in to make that conservation goal happen. One person can't be in all places at one time. One organization can't be in one place at all time. So you have to help do what you can, where you can, when you can, while you can. Here in North America, we have this really incredible program through the Turtle Survival Alliance called the North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group. And that is a really fantastic way to get involved with a citizen science program. If you're interested in getting involved with that program and doing hands-on research for many different types of freshwater turtles, please email me again at jgray@turtlesurvival.org, and I will help you get involved. But what if you don't live here in North America? Well, there's still lots of other turtle conservation programs probably near you. And I would also be glad to help you get involved. We at the TSA have a very, very large network which we can reach out to help you get involved in a conservation project. But not only getting involved, but you could also start one. When I was an undergraduate at Armstrong State University, now Georgia Southern University Armstrong campus, I saw a problem, and that was that female diamondback terrapins were getting hit by cars on the causeway as they were heading to nest. And so I reached out to the department head at the school and said, hey, we really have a problem. It's close to our campus. Can we start a conservation project to help this turtle? And therein, TERPS was born, the Terrapin Educational Research Program of Savannah. And I started that as an undergrad, and now in its 17th year, TERPS is still going strong. In fact, we just released Head Started Terrapins last evening into the salt marsh. It was a great way to celebrate Earth Week and Earth Day by taking these little juvenile turtles who would not have lived. We salvaged the eggs from the female that had been hit on the road, incubated them, hatched them, raised them until they were the right size to be released, and then freed them back into the wild. And that's something we do across TSA programs all over the world. Let me check some of these questions as they're coming in. So Boris says, we don't have native species of turtles in the Netherlands. We only have red-eared sliders in the wild. Not that invasive due to the fact that our summer is too short for eggs. All right, that's a good point, Boris. We talked about this in a previous webinar, how red-eared sliders have proliferated all over the world. They are an invasive species in many areas. Areas that are not their native range. But as you're saying, in your area, your summers are too short for them to really become invasive because of short incubation time. But I know, being that you're in the Netherlands, there are probably programs in countries close to you working with other taxa, such as the European pond turtle, Emys orbicularis, and there's its subspecies. So maybe that's a way that you can get involved somewhat close to home. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is important, is please don't purchase wild-caught turtles. For many, many decades, and continuing to this day, turtles, tortoises, and terrapins, and sea turtles have been caught, whether it's for food, for pets, traditional medicine, or maybe some other use. And this wreaks havoc on populations. You have to understand that these turtle populations exist in this very delicate balance, and that the goal of each female turtle is to replace herself and her mate within her lifetime. Now, for a population to increase, she would need to reproduce more than that, have more of her eggs hatch and hatchlings grow to adulthood for the population to increase. But just to keep it stable, you have to have those males and especially those females in the population to keep it so. So what I'm trying to say is that every turtle taken out of a population can adversely affect its long-term trajectory for survival. So please don't purchase any type of wild-caught turtle or tortoise. If you want a turtle or tortoise as a pet, there are lots of legitimate breeders out there who can offer you the chance to get such an animal. Now, yes, at one point, the animals for those breeding projects came out of the wild. But there's no time like the present to stop that sort of activity of taking animals from the wild just for profit. If you go to some of your chain retailers, your pet retailers, which I won't name right now on the webinar, but we can just say large chain retailers, they will still offer wild-caught turtles and tortoises. And the best thing you can do is just not purchase those animals. Although you might really, really want to purchase that animal to save that specific animal, you have to think it in these terms, that no matter what your intentions were, a purchase is a purchase. And that means more money coming into the company or business for you making that purchase. And then they will most likely replace that animal that you purchased for somebody else to purchase. So what am I trying to say? No purchase is the best purchase and the best thing in the long term for these wild caught turtles and tortoises. Let me take a look at some of the questions coming in. The Colonian Hut asks, are there any programs in Thailand? Yes, there are definitely programs in Thailand on behalf of turtles and tortoises. And I know you have emailed me several times. We've had numerous exchanges, so I'd be glad to help direct you towards a program in Thailand that maybe you could get involved in. So thanks again. I've really enjoyed our conversations on email. Lucas says, it's a pity here in Brazil, nothing is done about turtles being hit by cars. And that, you know what, that happens all over. Female turtles coming up to nest, and unfortunately, roadways have been put in either blocking or providing a major hazard to getting to their nesting sites. And that's what I was talking about. That's where creating citizen science programs, working with the communities, working with the local governments is so important, because one person can make a difference, and that one person's passion will grow. So if you have an area in your community where turtles are crossing the road and getting hit by cars, really starting a project where you can possibly create tunnels for them to go under the road, where you can create barriers to keep them from getting in the road, or maybe even setting up a team of volunteers that helps the female turtles cross the road during that nesting season or any other part of the year that they are crossing. How many species of turtle and tortoise are there in Thailand? That's a really good question. I'd have to jump into my TFTSG checklist to look at that. If Peter Paul Van Dyke is still on, he may be able to answer that for you. Otherwise, please email me. I'd love to get back to you on that, because right off the top of my head, I'm not sure of the exact number of species and subspecies of turtle, tortoise, and terrapin in Thailand. All right, fantastic. Peter Paul just got back saying that there are 30 species. So thank you very much, Peter Paul. Love to have you on these webinars. By the way, everyone, Peter Paul is an incredible resource of knowledge on turtles and tortoises around the world, and we're glad to have him on. All right, yeah, Lucas says education is the key, and absolutely, education is the key. Getting the word out there and spreading your passion, and that will make a difference, I guarantee it. All right, so number 4 on this list is locking your trash can lid and don't leave human or pet food outside. And this is a very, very simple thing to do. Maybe you have a trash can that the lid doesn't lock. Well, being able to get one that the lid does lock actually goes a long way in helping turtles and tortoises near you. Also, if you own pets outside, like cats or dogs, or who knows, maybe you have pigeons or chickens or a goat, making sure that you bring the food inside and don't leave it overnight is really, really key to helping decrease the effects of some of these predators that are attracted by our human activities. So what I'm mostly talking about are predators that we call subsidized predators. And I talked about that a little bit in one of the previous webinars, But a subsidized predator is one whose populations have actually been positively influenced by human activity, such as suburban sprawl, more urbanization, landfills, or more trash being present in the environment. Animals like raccoons, skunks, foxes, crows, ravens. There's many, many more, but either way, we can consider these subsidized predators when our human activity helps bolster their populations. So what does that mean for turtles and tortoises? Well, when these animals are in greater number than what would be in the natural balance of an ecosystem, there's more opportunities for these subsidized predators to feed on turtles, tortoises, their eggs, and their hatchlings. And that can really, really have a major impact on the population as a whole. I know of many turtle research efforts that have shown that where large populations of raccoons exist, greater than 90%, all the way up to about 98, 99% of the annual turtle nests are dug up and eaten or depredated by these raccoons. So if such a small number of turtles and tortoises already only survive to adulthood, when you reduce the nesting success to only maybe 1% per year, that's going to have a major, major long-term negative effect on the trajectory of that population and of the population as a whole. So something you can do just as simple as locking your garbage lid or bringing pet food or making sure your trash is not left unattended outside can make a big impact for turtles and tortoises. All right, next, and right in line with that, is picking up litter in and along wildlife habitats near you. Now, I don't think this is something that any of us has not learned yet, the impacts of litter upon our environment. When I do outreach to schools and other groups, I always ask students what they think the biggest threats to turtles and tortoises are around the world. And the number one answer I get now is plastic. Okay, so there's two things about that. One, yes, plastics are a major, major contributor to pollution around the world. But two, it also shows that our outreach about plastic is really making an impact in the minds of the future generations here on Earth. So to all you people out there who have spread the word about how plastic is harmful, who have made documentaries showing the negative impacts on wildlife, I'm here right now on Earth Day telling you that your efforts are making a difference. Because in the minds of children everywhere is how plastic has a negative impact on wildlife. Now look at this picture. This clearly demonstrates how this six-pack ring, for whether it's a soda or some potent potables, has had an impact on this particular animal. This red-eared slider, Trachemys scripta elegans, at some point in its juvenile life stage got caught in this six-pack. However, the turtle continued to grow as it fed, and eventually the turtle grew around the plastic because plastics like these don't just biodegrade into the habitat. They actually stay around for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, as they are slowly broken down. But those tiny microplastics that they are broken down into will stay in our environment for a millennia. So again, it just shows how important it is to properly discard of litter. On top of that, if people aren't discarding their litter, why don't you give them a helping hand? And this is where I'm talking about going into wildlife habitats. All around the world, litter can be found, but you could start a project on Earth Day, right now, today, to pick up litter in swamps, streams, forests, deserts, mountains, no matter what habitat or ecoregion or place you live in the world. You can make an impact by going out there and picking up litter today, tomorrow, and for the rest of eternity. All right. Next thing I want to talk about, number 6, is living eco-friendly. Okay, so there are more than 7 billion people on Earth. And that means that we are having a tremendous footprint on the Earth and its processes. And so whether that be major suburban sprawl like I've shown in this picture, or whether it be the output from, let's say, factories having to do with different types of pollutants put in the air or put into our water. But no matter what, when we as humans in some way have a negative footprint upon our environment. So living eco-friendly is a way that we can help reduce that footprint. Okay, so I really do want to talk about suburban sprawl for a minute, because it has had very large negative impacts on turtle and tortoise populations. The picture you see here is from the suburbs of Las Vegas, Nevada. And so appropriately, I put a desert tortoise above it. Humans are increasingly growing their population out from city centers. And with this comes the destruction of any of those habitats that were previously there. It's amazing to think of some of our really large cities like New York City or Washington, D.C. Here in the United States. If you can imagine here, and I'll bring them out really quick again, this beautiful little spotted turtle that if you're tuning in late, maybe you didn't get to see, but this beautiful spotted turtle was once regarded as one of the, if not the most common turtle where New York City now resides. Can you find them there now? It's pretty difficult. Sure, on the outskirts of New York City, there are tiny little populations of this beautiful turtle, but in downtown Manhattan, finding a spotted turtle would be like finding, a lucky pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. These suburban habitats, I've seen them firsthand. Basically roll over habitat that once had box turtles and wood turtles and painted turtles and musk turtles, and all over the world. So all I'm saying is that if we choose to live modestly, if we make that decision that we can live in closer confines to other people, if we can have smaller houses, if we can build our communities to be closer together, that will, in the long run, preserve more wild spaces and have less fragmented environments. And that environmental fragmentation also is a really big contributor in declining turtle, tortoise, and other wildlife populations. All right, number 7, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Again, this is something that most of you have heard numerous times, but it not only rings true today on Earth Day, but it will continue to ring true. We have to be able to reduce, reuse, and recycle if we are going to continue inhabiting this Earth, and if we want our shelled friends and other wildlife to continue inhabiting this Earth. We have to realize that all of the items that we use take an incredible amount of natural resources. All right, the Colonian Hut says you have to go. So again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. I am going to stop really quick because Anna Green says, what about refuse? Yes, so refuse in the environment is one of those major negative ecological footprints that humans leave behind, and that can impact turtles and tortoises in many ways, especially the degradation of their habitats that they live in. So reducing, reusing, and recycling. I know when I go out to my aunt and uncles in Boulder, Colorado, shout out to Becky and Mike Green, fellows, is that when I go there, they tend to reuse everything. If they bought something in a plastic bag, they reuse that plastic bag for something else. Or instead of buying bottled water, they put their bottled water into some kind of reusable canister. So I know in certain areas and in certain cultures, reusing is a really big part. But around the world, we tend to have this idea that these resources are going to be able to last forever. And in many cases, they're not going to. So we have to find ways, especially on Earth Day, to reduce our use of natural resources. All right, next, create a backyard habitat. So again, going back to suburban sprawl and the increase of the human population across the landscape, we have to realize and admit to ourselves that our use of the land, our increased building of houses, our increased use of roads, building of roads, etc., is reducing wildlife habitat. Now, that does in many cases leave fragmented areas in which wildlife such as turtles and tortoises still live in. I know growing up in Virginia, I lived in a community that was still surrounded by woodland, and between the sections of the community, there were strips of woodland. And in all those areas, I could still regularly find eastern box turtles, Terrapini carolina. So they were still utilizing these habitats, even though much of it was destroyed due to building these subdivisions. So what I want to say is that you can build a wildlife habitat in your backyard. And actually, I just got something in from Kate Green saying, I want a pond. Well, Kate Green, maybe you can find, a nice strapping young son or one of your friends to put in a backyard pond for you. If you look at this picture, this is an incredible backyard habitat. This shot is not taken from the wild. This is somebody's backyard in which they've put in a water feature. So a water feature can be a pond, a stream, a lake, a fountain, but something that attracts wildlife to your backyard. And that might be turtles. It also might be frogs and songbirds or other small types of migrating or resident wildlife. And if you also look, lots of lush vegetation, places for these animals to hide. And so there are lots of ways that you can learn how to build a backyard habitat. You can even get your backyard habitat certified as a wildlife habitat. And so there's lots of ways that you can look at different types of books. There's lots of online resources. So definitely, if you're interested in building a pond, you can look at YouTube on how to build these different types of things. No matter what, all I'm saying is that being able to give back in some way, recognizing that we took habitat from animals and being able to give back in some way will at least help restore a little bit of that habitat. Now, growing up, again, I put a pond into my backyard, and we used to have gray tree frogs, spring peepers, wood frogs, American toads, turtles, different species of migrating birds use that backyard pond and the foliage and habitat around there for their activities. So this is a really great way, not only to give back to wildlife, but it will also help you get some peace of mind and some tranquility in your own life. Number 9, say it loud and say it proud. Okay, passion is contagious. Everywhere I go, I tend to wear some form of turtle shirt. Now, normally that's one of our TSA merchandise, which, by the way, you can order in our online store at turtlesurvival.org. We have tons of merchandise available, all sorts of hats and hoodie sweatshirts and t-shirts. And right now we just started our World Turtle Day campaign, which means that you can go onto our website and get custom World Turtle Day 2020 Turtle Survival Alliance merchandise, which means t-shirts in both men's and women's sizes. It means women's tank tops and also hoodies. So I had to put that plug in there. But what I'm trying to say is, say it loud, say it proud. You know, if you love something like turtles and tortoises, you know, wear something that shows that off, or talk to people about it. You know, your passion is contagious. Okay, once you put something out into the atmosphere, other people will start to pick up on it. I know when myself or friends or coworkers at the TSA wear their Turtle Survival Alliance apparel, it always triggers conversation, whether that be at a gas pump or at a grocery store or at your local coffee shop. You know, people love to talk about turtles. It's the truth. Like I've talked about in a previous webinar, you know, everybody has a turtle story, and people love a chance to talk about that turtle story. So, hey, take your passion for these animals, show it and share it. And through that, we're going to create a better world for these animals. The more turtle knowledge is, the more there is turtle power. All right, lastly, number 10, you can support us at the Turtle Survival Alliance. And why do I put that as one of our 10 ways you can help turtles? Well, it's simple. The Turtle Survival Alliance and our many partners around the world form what is the greatest coalition of turtle and tortoise conservation on Earth. And we at the Turtle Survival Alliance have programs all across the globe. Like I was saying, you know, start local, think global. So no matter where you are on Earth, you can either start or get involved with a turtle conservation program. And that will create this network all across the globe in which we are helping our shelled friends. So at the TSA, we have programs in Bangladesh, Belize, Brazil, Cambodia, China, Colombia, India, Indonesia, Madagascar, Myanmar, the United States, and Vietnam. So it's a pretty global reach, perfect for Earth Day, right? To talk about where the Turtle Survival Alliance works. So please find out how you can join us by becoming a member or supporting one of our programs, because by supporting the Turtle Survival Alliance, you will directly be helping restore, preserve, and further reintroduce populations of turtles and tortoises all around the world. All right. So now that we've talked about our TSA's 10 ways that you can help turtles on Earth Day, here are some other ways that you can learn about turtles. Number one, I always say read a book. Okay, this was the way that I started really loving turtles, was picking up a book. And my favorite books personally were Turtles of the World by Carl Ernst, Handbook of Turtles by Archie Carr, Turtles of the United States and Canada by Carl Ernst, Roger Barber, and Jeffrey Lovitch, as well as Year of the Turtle by David Carroll. But there's many, many turtle books out there in which you can learn more and learn more about how you can help them. The one centered there is one of the many turtle Bibles out there, the Encyclopedia of Turtles, written by our beloved Peter Pritchard, who recently and sadly passed away. A huge loss to not only the turtle conservation community, but the conservation community as a whole. Either way, pick up a book. Next, check us out on our TSA social media. We update our social media, whether that be Instagram, our website, Facebook, or Twitter, on a daily basis and numerous times per day. Really quick, Boris asks, do you have book recommendations on the website? Boris, that's actually a really good idea. So I think I'll talk to my partner in social media crime, the amazing David Hedrick, and why don't we get up a list of recommended turtle books on our TSA website? That's a great idea, and we'll get right on that. Next, volunteer for a turtle research project or conservation group. We've already talked about this in the webinar. I don't need to talk about it much more, but either way, hands-on activity with conservation in the wild or in ex situ, which is captive projects, is a great way to lend a hand in helping our turtles and tortoises. And next, if you have any more questions, please send them to jgray@turtlesurvival.org. I love communicating with people, and I would love to hear your ideas or your questions about how you can help. Again, how can I get involved? So, as you've been watching TSA's 10 ways that you can help turtles, we also have that on our website. So go to our TSA news and then to our blog and find 10 ways that you can help turtles. And that way you can go back over these 10 ways. Another way you can go back over the 10 ways is by rewatching this as it's archived on YouTube. So all of these live streams are preserved on our Turtle Survival YouTube channel so that you can go back at any point and check out a spot that you might have missed or want to relive again. Volunteering, again, becoming a TSA member and supporting a TSA program, all ways that you can get involved. And of course, since all of us tend to have this obsession with electronics as they're a major part of our life, please check us out at Turtle Survival on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Of course, go to our website at turtlesurvival.org. And furthermore, please tag us in all of your turtle photos or news about turtles. Again, at Turtle Survival. And we would love to see and be part of your conservation efforts on behalf of turtles. So with that being said, I want to say thank you. And if there's any other questions, please feel free to type them in now. And we'll just take a few minutes as we watch this dog ride on the back of a sulcata tortoise. Just a little bit of turtle and tortoise Earth Day humor for you, so I can get to some questions that you might have. And in the meantime, I'm going to wet my lips here with a little bit of Red Bull. Oh, so Boris says, this is nice. I will look into this and want to remove the stones in my garden and will create more habitats for wildlife, whether that be rodents, hedgehogs, and amphibians. Boris, that's awesome. Yes, there are some wonderful animals in Western Europe, and my favorites are, of course, salamanders and newts. So creating a backyard habitat could be a way to attract those animals to your yard. So thank you, Boris. All right. We'll give it just another minute in case there's any other questions about TSA's 10 ways that you can help turtles on Earth Day, or any other suggestions you might have for helping turtles. And then we'll, after that, we'll sign off, but not before I recommend you to be right back here on our TSA YouTube channel, Turtle Survival, on Friday, April 24th, that's this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, because Bob Gray will be painting a painted terrapin, Batagur borneoensis, live on YouTube. And hopefully you will want to paint or color along with Bob Gray, because by the end of the night, our Turtle Survival Alliance coloring page art contest will be up. So get those submissions done and in. And if you haven't had inspiration yet, hopefully this Friday evening, Bob Gray will help give you some inspiration to color some of those coloring pages and submit into the contest. Because guess what? There are prizes. All right. Boris says, I already have 2 outdoor pens for my testudos, but the rest of my garden needs to have animals too. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, please, Boris, send me pictures of your wildlife habitats. Would love to see them. Lucas says, I feel lucky to have a 3-hectare garden with a lake and visitors like otters and capybaras. That's awesome, Lucas, to be able to be there in Brazil with wildlife habitat right there in your backyard and have otters and capybaras. I mean, that's fantastic. Really cool. That is true. Lucas says water attracts wildlife. Water brings life to everything. And so, yes, having some sort of water feature on your property will help attract wildlife. Kate Green says, can you post a link to the Bob Gray show? Great question, Kate. So the link to the Bob Gray show is on our website. Again, go to turtlesurvival.org, and right now it is on the home landing page of our website. It's also on our TSA social media. Go to Facebook at Turtle Survival, in which we have an event page in which you can click going, and then you'll receive a notification to remind you about that live painting. Also, in case you don't happen to be a subscriber to our e-newsletter, please go to turtlesurvival.org, sign up for our e-newsletter, and that way you can get the most up-to-date announcements of things like turtles webinars, live paintings, or of course, all the turtle conservation news that we have happening around the world. All right, well, I think we're going to sign off now. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for your comments and questions. And again, happy Earth Day. And I'll bring out the spotted turtle one more time to look at. So there it is, our beautiful spotted turtle. This is Clemys guttata, which is from the United States and Canada. An amazing species to celebrate on Earth Day and every day. So thank you all very much. Happy Earth Day, and I can't wait to see you all again. TURTLE.